friends? SeanPierceJohnson here, back in the studio for another episode of Stompbox Saturday. Hope you guys are excited because we're getting to get down to the final episodes before our Season 6 finale, and we're getting started with a pedal for both wonderful and strange. It is the Astronaut A+ Multiverb Space Unit. Long story short, I reached out to them, they sent me the Astronaut, I plugged in, and I feel like this name is very fitting, and I'll tell you why at the end of the video. But for now, let's go ahead, throw the pedal up on the screen, talk about the controls, take a look at the pedal, and see exactly what we get in this very compact package. Now, the astounding thing is that this is a digital reverb pedal with 11 different reverbs to choose from. At least it seems that way at first. But the fact that we have a pedal of this size with 11 different reverbs in it, and is quite a flexible little reverb pedal, is pretty astounding when you think about how far the technology has come. So we have a mix knob, a wet-dry mix knob, allowing you to go full 100% wet. But we also have a volume knob, which is a very interesting thing. Usually we just see either an effect level or we see a mix control. We have a character control that is directly tied to the reverb selection knob. Then we have our decay, which of course is going to set the amount of decay of the reverb. What exactly is this knob down here? It's our selection for the 11 different reverb types. Now, I said the character knob was tied to it. Basically, the character is an ever-changing control. Depending on what type of reverb that you have selected on your selector control, the character knob serves a different purpose. In one mode, it might be a high-pass filter. In one mode, it might be a low-pass filter. In another, it might be the rate of modulation in the reverb decay. In the other, it might be, I don't know, your pre-delay for a certain type of reverb. Now, as if that weren't enough, by pressing and holding on the bypass foot switch and turning the selector knob, you then get a further level of reverb selection. So you don't have 11 different reverb types, one for each position on your selector knob. You have a second level of 11. So 22 different reverbs in a pedal that can fit in the palm of your hand. That's pretty incredible, if I do say so myself. How am I going to show you guys how this pedal really works and some of the interesting things about it functionally, but then showcase sounds to you in a video that's not going to be an hour long, because I just don't do hour-long videos. So I think we're gonna break it up like this. In the first segment, I would like to show you guys how the mix and the volume control work together in order to get you the right kind of reverb sound for the job. Next, we're gonna go and check out the character knob in a separate segment and see how that changes and morphs its function depending on which reverb type you have selected. And then to wrap it up, I'll showcase it with 5 of my favorite reverb sounds from the Astronaut. Now, I'm limiting it to 5 because, quite frankly, when there's 22 different reverbs to choose from, you're gonna like quite a lot of them. But I think 5 will give you a good idea of some of the things that you can do. I'm controlling the on and off of the Astronaut via the foot switch for the tube amp expander, the effects loop button. So most likely you won't be seeing me turn the pedal on and off like this. I'll just be clicking it on and off down here. So, I'm using this more standard kind of reverb sound to show you how these two controls really do work well together in order to get you the kind of reverb sound that you want. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the bypass sound with the distortion, and we can get an idea of what our level is right now. Turning on the Astronaut. Now I'm getting the feeling that we're losing a little bit of level. That's where the volume comes in. It essentially acts like the overall output, both wet and dry, of the Astronaut. Now the reason that that's so beneficial is because sometimes when you add in spatial effects and even time-based effects like delay and reverb especially is what we're talking about here, you tend to feel this apparent psychoacoustic phenomenon. Yes, I know I used a very large word there. This psychoacoustic phenomenon where you feel like you're losing level. You feel like you're losing volume. Now, if I raise that up to 12 o'clock, you see, we get a little bit more level and we kind of get a little bit closer to our unity gain without the Astronaut on. I've turned it off, so let's go ahead and hear that. Turning it on. Yeah, I think we've got it. Then, of course, you have your mix knob, which allows you to adjust the wet-dry blend. Let's increase it a little bit more. Now let's turn that off. Catch that. See how on, it feels like our level drops. It feels like we don't have as much going for us. Now going back to the original. So we need to do something. We need to do something in order to make this really work for us, and we can go ahead and use the volume control to get us back to that level so that it matches with our dry signal. I feel like we're pretty close there. I mean, now that we've reached sort of the higher range of the mix knob, it's going to be less likely for us to match unity gain. But that's just a brief explanation of why these two controls together on this pedal are so essential and why Shiftline made a very wise decision to put both of them on here. Let me show you now what happens with the character knob as you start sweeping through various different reverb types on the Astronaut. The character knob. This is the ever-changing chameleon of the Astronaut, changing its function depending on the reverb type that you have selected. Now, the reverb that you heard just now was the room type reverb, which I like seeing in pedals. It's not a very typical thing that you see in reverb pedals. It's not particularly the most exciting reverb, but it comes in handy. The character knob in this mode functions as a pre-delay knob. Now, the pre-delay is essentially a set short delay time that when you hit your note, either the reverb comes in right away or there's a slight delay for that reverb to start blooming out. when it's turned all the way down, we get every single note is reverbed right away. And then as we turn up the character knob, and you'll even hear that time shift, I'll play a chord. You can start to hear how the reverb feels like it's waiting a little bit to really start to come in. A little bit of fuzz, how about that? And pre-delay is another thing that you can use to make your reverb sounds more fun, I guess I could say. That's a very subjective term, fun, but I think it works here. All right, let's go ahead, look at the little card that Shiftline kindly include with the Astronaut, and let's select another reverb type. One of my favorites, as a matter of fact. I'll go ahead and go to that one right now. The Universe M2, which is 12 o'clock on the selection dial. Now, what does the character knob do here? Well, how about I go ahead and just turn it all the way down, strum some chords, have a little bit of pretty fun, and you can decide for yourself, and then I'll tell you what it does. The Universe M2 is a flanged reverb, and the character knob here sets the flanging rate. It's very cool, very nice. But maybe something just a little bit different. How about, this should be interesting. This is C minor 112 step filter. This should be interesting. Now here the character knob becomes the rate of that step filtering effect. Again, another instance of a different reverb sound and a completely different function. And like I said, each of these reverb types, the character knob has a specific function. And there are some modes, such as this one, where the decay knob does end up becoming something different. But that's very rare in this case. As a matter of fact, as I look at it, you basically only have depth and mix on this particular mode and feedback in the ping pong delay mode. And yes, there's delay in this as well, which is pretty darn spectacular. And that's really all you need to know about how the Astronaut functions. So with all this in mind, and with my desire to play some weird guitar and some fun guitar stuff being very, very great indeed, let's go ahead and hear some of my favorite sounds, 5 of them, as I said, with the Astronaut. This first reverb sound, I'm going to use that Universe M2 flanged reverb, probably my favorite on this pedal. It's subtle at first, but I can press and hold down on the bypass foot switch in order to get an infinite hold effect. But I'm using that volume and that mix teaming up to really get something that works both for the pretty clean stuff, and then when I start kicking on the dirt and really start to dig in, everything just seems to work together. So let's check it out. This next sound uses the room reverb, which I like seeing in reverb pedals. Now, what I'm going for here is just a nice middle-of-the-road reverb, nothing too crazy, that just provides a little bit of ambience and not in the super wet, drippy, washed-out kind of reverb ambience. Just ambiance, if you will. you're looking for that Blade Runner kind of sound, then you're going to need to check out the shim up and down mode on Astronaut. You get shimmer octave up, shimmer octave down, and it sounds pretty friggin' rad. With a bit of hefty fuzz on top of some dirt from the rock reverb and just full wet. Let's check it out. This sound uses the Skynet reverb built into Astronaut. Anytime something says Skynet, I get a little bit suspicious, but this is a pretty dang good sounding reverb. I like it for nice washy reverbs with arpeggiated patterns, so I'm gonna go ahead and play my favorite arpeggiated pattern to play because one, I wrote it, and two, it's easy to play. Let's check it out. This last sound I want to show you guys utilizes the Force Roar mode on Astronaut. Yeah, it's called Force Roar. It's an infinite hold reverb with a low pass filter, and that low pass filter, as you sweep it, yeah, that's ominous whooshing for you right there. I'm just gonna go ahead, play around with it a little bit, play over it so you get an idea of how you can use it. It's a lot of fun. I have some fun with it. We're gonna have some fun right now. Let's do this. And that, my friends, was a little taste of what the Astronaut Multiverb space unit can do for you. Now, I want to say a big thanks to Shiftline for sending this all the way from Russia. I've been having a lot of fun with it, and I hope you guys had fun watching this video. Now, what I will say about the name is that I feel it's very appropriate. The fact that most of the technology it took for us to land man on the moon for the first time, we can basically fit in our pockets these days. The same can be said for pedals. The fact that we have 22 different reverb types, from the classic to the adventurous, fits in a pedal that fits in the palm of our hand and is light on pedal board real estate. When we think back 30 years ago, when reverbs such as this could only be accessed with a rack unit, it's pretty darn extraordinary when you think about it. Now, yeah, there's 22 different reverbs, and you're bound to not like some more than you like others, and that's okay. I definitely feel like there are a couple modes where I like the other ambient reverb options I have in my pedal collection better than what the Astronaut does, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't do those sounds well. This pedal is very well tuned, it sounds great, and I feel like the feature set is exactly what a reverb pedal needs. I'm enjoying it, and I'm gonna keep playing with it some more and find some new sounds that I enjoy. But in the meantime, I would love to know what you guys thought of the Astronaut Multiverb Space Unit. I just love that name. Use the comment section below, leave feedback, positive or negative, it doesn't matter. I read them all and tend to respond to them all. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see more, please consider becoming a subscriber. Click the subscribe button and turn on notifications when you see that button. But if you'd like to see all those videos before anyone else in the world, as well as get some exclusive content access, please consider becoming a patron and join my Patreon page today. A link for that is in the description below. Thank you so much for spending part of your Saturday with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If your holiday season is shaping out to be stressful, I hope these videos provide just a little bit of relief from that. Until next time, friends, I'm SeanPierceJohnson, wishing you all out there great tone and happy stomping. Cheers.